Hey friend, welcome back to Crafter Support. It's been a while. I wanted to jump in with this card making video because I've had some questions. So we are going to be using our Cricut, but first we need to use a paper trimmer. Or you can use scissors if you're really good with scissors. I am not. So we're just going to take this 8.5 by 11 heavy white cardstock, and we're going to cut it in half. So we're going to cut it at 4 1/4 on the short side. So the 8.5 side is going to be at the top, and we're going to measure it at 4 1/4. Trim it down. Then we're going to turn it to the 11-inch side, and we're going to line it up at 5.5, and we're going to score it. So what scoring does is it breaks down the fibers of the paper. It makes it easier to fold, and it just makes it a nice clean line. The one thing you do want to remember when you're scoring something, you're going to fold in towards the score. So if you don't have a tool that has a scoring tool attached, like my trimmer has that scoring tool right there, you can use the bone folder and just go down the gully like I did to show you there. Now, here's where you want to do this. So if you're scoring down and pressing down into it, you're going to fold it towards the score line. So that's what gives it the nice clean edge whenever you run your bone folder across. It doesn't look like, because you don't see the broken down paper, because basically when you're scoring, that's what you're doing, is you're breaking down the fibers. So if you fold towards it, then it doesn't look bad. You know what I mean? It doesn't like make the paper look all rigid and stuff. So that is one tip when you're scoring, is to to fold into the score. Okay, so now we have to cut a few pieces. I'm going to have, like I said, I don't know if I said this already, but links to everything below and the different measurements of each piece that needs cut. So the first piece we're going to cut is this green. It's a granny apple green cardstock, and it's just so beautiful and bright. And I thought for a spring card, I still have the dark blues in it that I like, but I wanted to use the spring color as my backdrop, as the very back panel. So what we're going to do is cut this 4 by 5 1/4. And the reason we're doing this is because we're going to leave a little edge around the outside of the card. So we have that little white edge. And here's where I'm cutting it by 5.5, or I'm sorry, 5 1/4. So I'm just cutting all the pieces that we need. The layers are what's going to build this card. So if you've seen what it looked like at the beginning, there's very thin edges on the backside of the designer paper. So that's what we want to see. So whenever we're making this, we're going to cut it just like 1/4 of an inch smaller on all sides. So that's why, if you remember, the card base itself is 4 1/4 by 5.5. So when we cut our next piece, that green piece we cut is 4 by 5 1/4. It's going to leave 1/4 of an inch around the entire white base of the card. And then I needed a piece that's 2 by 5. So I have that cut. And then I also need, for what I'm using on the Cricut, I need a piece that's 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So this will be the piece that actually goes into my Cricut and cuts the kind of like flowery edge, the ruffled edge that will go around the little turtle that I put on there. And we're also going to cut a circle out of white cardstock. But I just like to get all of my paper cut. I feel like once that's all done, it makes the layering and the designs go very, very quickly. I think this video in total, with like getting my Cricut out and setting everything up, it took me like 22 minutes. Now I did cut some of that stuff out for you guys and sped it up a little bit, but it doesn't take that long whenever you get into like the swing of things. If you're going to make multiples of these cards, you could just cut everything down at once, and the process will go much, much faster. So when you're working with any designer paper, make sure that the design, when you cut it, is going the right way. Like here, the stripes might go to the left to right or top to bottom. I want them to go top to bottom. So when I cut it, I need to make sure I'm doing my shortest end first. And that would be 3 3/4 by 5. So that's what I'm cutting here. And this is going to be another layer that is going to go on top of the green layer. And I'm going to show you here how that's going to look. So you're going to have the white panel in the back, your card base, and then you're going to have the green and then the stripes. And it actually makes it pop really, really well. So I'm done with the stripe paper, and now I need these little like diamond shape paper. And again, make sure that your design is going the right way, especially if there's words or certain things on it. You want to make sure that it's lined up properly and you cut it on the right side. Now, a tip here when cutting cardstock, always cut your shortest line that you need first if you know you have your length. So I know that I need 5 inches here, but I also didn't need to cut my first cut at 5 inches and then down to 2. I just needed to cut my 2 inches first, then cut my 5. And that way there I'm cutting less of the largest piece of paper. And if you've been following me for a while, you'll know how that works. If not, I'll explain it in other videos and how you can do it just to kind of save on paper and keep your design paper to use to make multiples of cards that you really like. Okay, so now this piece I'm cutting at 2.5 by 2.5. It's going into my Cricut to cut my circle. And once this piece is cut, we have all of our pieces cut for this card, scored and ready to go. So here are 2 small pieces that we need for the Cricut. I'm just going to be using my Joy in this video. If you're new to my channel, I use the Maker 3, the Cricut Joy Extra, and the Cricut Joy. I've had all the machines. I have gotten rid of some of them just because I'm out of space, but I love working with all the machines, and I try to use different ones so you guys can see and have options of what I'm doing. Okay, so the easiest way I find to load my mat, the paper onto my mat or vinyl, is by turning it at an angle and lining up the top left corner and going across the top and the side, laying it down. And I usually get a perfect match there. And then the next thing we're going to do is just kind of adjust my Joy so that way there it's facing the other way, and we can go ahead and cut our design. So if you guys are unfamiliar how to set up a design in Cricut Design Space, I have other videos for that, and I'll be doing them more. I'm just kind of getting back to making videos after being sick. So I'm just going to peel the mat back and pull my design off. I love the Cricut Joy. It does such a great job cutting, and I didn't even need the spatula. The mat is just perfect. So if you are cutting cardstock, I suggest using the blue mat. It doesn't tear, rip, or anything like that. So again, now I'm going to cut out my circle, and I'm just going to press down with my fingers. Usually I use my brayer tool, but it just wasn't in. My husband set up a new area for me to video at. Since I haven't been feeling well, he kind of just moved everything into the room where I'm at. And so the video is a little different than my normal setup, but I lost my train of thought and I was sure what the point of that was, but I didn't have my brayer out here, so I just kept videoing and used my hands. But a brayer tool is like one of the main tools that I love using in my craft room when working with my Cricut. Okay, so here's all the pieces and all of the things that we need. I'm going to be using this cute stamp of a little turtle. And the great thing you're going to see here about using paper is it's not a big deal if you make a mistake. You can just flip it over and redo it. And that's what I end up doing here with the little turtle. I should have given myself a little bit more room with the white cardstock, but I was confident that I could get it. I didn't want it too big, so I measured my stamp to see how big it was to know what size to cut my circle. I should have given myself more room, but it worked out. So this is Stays on Ink. Again, I'll have everything linked below that I can. And I'm just pressing down on my clear ink block, and I'm going to line it up inside the circle. So the first time I press it, I'm just not happy. A little portion of the flower is kind of cut off, and I didn't really like it. So all I had to do was flip the circle over, and I get a do-over. So that's great. I didn't want to waste the paper. I just knew that if I flipped it over, I could restamp it and I would be much happier with it. So that's what I did. So here we're just going to, like I said, flip it over, and we're just going to re-ink our stamp up. And this Stays on Ink is amazing ink. I love it to color with. You'll see I get out my markers and I just do a tiny bit of coloring really quickly. It's not a lot, but I just like adding the color to kind of go with the backgrounds colors that I chose. So here it is, and I'm much happier with the new stamping that I did, and I'm ready to pull out some colors. Now you'll see when I put my Stays On ink away, there's like a little plastic piece that comes with it. Don't throw that out. You need that. This will make your ink last for years. I've had this same one. I've never re-inked it for years. Keep the plastic cover. All right, so now I'm just going to pull out a few shades of markers. These markers are dual tipped, and one has like a little brush tip that I just am going to quickly color in the turtle shell with. And then it has a fine tip if you need it. And I end up using the fine tip on the flower that the turtle's holding, and it goes pretty quickly. But I do enjoy doing small amounts of coloring with my designs. If you don't have stamps, you could use a 3-dimensional sticker here. You could use a plain sticker here. If you don't have a Cricut, if you do have a Cricut, you could even draw a design on that with your Cricut, or you could simply, if you don't have a Cricut, you could, like I said, use a sticker. You could put whatever you wanted onto that little circle. If you have really pretty handwriting, you could write something like a sweet sentiment on there, whatever. Use what you have before you go out and have to buy a bunch of stuff. I sell product for you guys to use, but I rather you use what you have first and then build into your craft room. So here I'm just giving it a little yellow belly. I thought that was super cute. And then I end up going in with my favorite color, which is purple. And I colored the flower, the purple daisy. I thought it looked so cute. So yeah, use what you have. If you only have Crayola markers, use those. Like I said, crayons look beautiful. Colored pencils look beautiful on cards. They're all mediums that you can use to make your cards stand out and be so beautiful. But I really stress and say use what you have, and I'm sure it'll be beautiful. So here's where we're going to put it on that Granny Apple cardstock, which is going to make it pop and look so, so cute. And you can use double-sided tape. You can use the different glues, just like I said, use what you have. You don't have to run out and buy anything special. Elmer's glue would work just as well. Make sure it's thin coats, but yeah, it'll work. So then we're just going to press that down, and that piece is ready to go. So I think it turned out super cute, and I love how the colors work together. So now the next thing we're going to do is the base of the main part of the card. So this is where we're using the 4 by 5 1/4 and the 3 3/4 by 5 piece. And remember, I'm going to have all these measurements down below for you guys. And we're just going to give that little 1/4 inch border all the way around, because that's what makes everything pop whenever you have a really busy patterned paper. So the next piece we're going to do here is the 1 3/4 by 5. And we're putting that on the 2 by 5. So we're keeping the height to this one 5, and we're just giving the 1/4 inch on the right and left side. And we're going to lay it down, and then we're going to get it ready to line it up. Now, because the background has stripes, I'm looking at it to make sure that it doesn't look wonky whenever I apply the thinner piece down. So I do have to play a little bit with which line I'm going to follow on the pattern, if that makes sense. So it does take me a minute to figure out which line I want to use, and did I line it up properly? And it ended up turning out. It does turn out. It just took me a minute to get that straight line. So the great thing about layering is you can make a card have so many dimensions and have show so much interest, and it doesn't take a lot, and you can make them very quickly. Like this card did not take long at all to make, like I said. It took the longest part is getting my Cricut out and getting it ready to go, making the design, things like that. But like I said, if you have a Cricut, you could have cut everything with it. I just think it's easier to cut your base pieces with a paper trimmer. So there I just put tape on the left-hand side because it was going to be a little bit higher than the base um, paper. So I didn't need to put tape on the right-hand side. Okay, and then we're going to apply it to the card base. Now when I'm applying this many layers to a card base, I do like to use glue. I prefer Tombow glue. Again, use what you have. I'm sure it'll be fine. All right, so it looks like I'm putting down a lot, but I'm really not. It's a very small tip, and just a lot came out because I had it upside down for a really long time in my container. So now that we have the glue done, we have just like a minute or a second or two to like give that 1/4 of an inch all the way around the card base and to wiggle it and press it down. And guys, that's it. That's all it takes to make a super cute card. Now, if you have it, you can add a little bit of bling to it. I have these cute little pearls, these dark purple ones that I really liked, and they're flat backed and they already have adhesive on them. So what I do is I end up putting those on just to give it a little bit more dimension and just to kind of pull that purple color out of that blue a little bit more. And I just put 2 at the bottom, and then to stretch, I usually do it in 3s whenever I add any sort of bling or something like that onto my cards. So I'm going to put 2 here, and then I'm going to put 1 up inside of the white part behind the turtle, because if you can see that cute little turtle, he's kind of looking back a little bit, and I thought it'd be cute to have like a cute little gem right there. And that's it, guys. That's all it takes to make a layered card, and any of your friends would love to get this card, especially that spring is coming. You can write a cute little sentiment inside. Again, if you have a Cricut, you can allow your Cricut to do all the writing. I have videos up on that, and I can do more if you guys just want to let me know what you want to see. So guys, I'm so happy to be back making videos. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give it a like and a thumbs up. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.